The Restoration Period, from tumult to calm. During the 1600s, England had suffered many hardships: civil war, the plague, and a devastating fire in London. After such chaos, the nation wanted peace and order. By the mid-1700s, these goals had largely been achieved. Charles II returned to the throne in England, and the monarchy was restored. The people of England were tired of war, suspicious of radicals, and ready to settle down to the good life. This period is often referred to as the Age of Reason or the Enlightenment. These labels tell how people were gradually changing the view of themselves and the world. In earlier ages, world events such as earthquakes and comets were seen as punishments or warnings. As the Enlightenment began, people started looking for scientific explanations of natural events. For example, the astronomer Edmund Halley took the terror out of comets appearing in the sky. He used math to calculate the length of one comet's orbit, 76 years. He was then able to predict that the comet would appear in certain years, and it did. Such a reasonable explanation showed that there was no connection between the comet and human events. Seen in this way, natural events became much less frightening and superstitions began to fade. The new scientific explanations of nature began to affect some people's religious views. Although ideas about religion were changing, few people dismissed it altogether. Great thinkers like Sir Isaac Newton and John Locke remained religious. When Charles II came to the throne, he again declared the Anglican Church the official state church. Furthermore, he tried to outlaw all church groups that were not Anglican, including the Puritans. These groups were persecuted throughout the 1700s. When can we see religious persecution in this clear manner in our days? From 1642 to 1660, all theatres in England had been closed by Cromwell and the Puritans. But Charles II had become addicted to theatre going. Once on the English throne, he quickly repealed the ban on drama. A new excitement about theatre rapidly spread. Now female roles could be played by women, and many great comedies were produced. Many English people felt smug and satisfied with the world. Alexander Pope and Jonathan Swift did not. They were horrified by the sloppiness they saw in art, manners, and morals. Pope, who loved order and discipline, attacked members of the upper classes for their bad behavior and bad taste. Swift, too, aimed to expose the worst of human nature. Today, many people think true poetry should reveal a poet's innermost feelings, his or her soul. But the 18th century poets had no interest in exposing their souls. For them, poetry was a product of their wit or their minds. In no way was the Age of Reason a casual one. The wealthy enjoyed great luxury during this age. They divided their time between London and the country. They gathered at coffee houses and in the city's gardens to gossip, to see, and to be seen. Men wore velvet or satin coats, silk breeches, high-heeled shoes, and broad hats with feathers. They also wore pigtails and hair bows. Women wore low-cut silk dresses, enormous hoop skirts, and towering wigs, some reaching 2 or 3 feet in height. As well as fashion, furniture was luxurious and sophisticated. The idea of simplicity is just a matter of perspectives. What is supposed to be a simple apartment that does not belong to a wealthy person seems small and cozy, comforting and relaxing, and sure is luxurious too. Although the furniture design is not of the Restoration period, but we can see how people think they are simple when they're not. The furniture design of the Restoration period, the curves and the bends, might have been considered outdated and archaic just a few years ago. An age of luxury and comfort for many might seem to have ended. But as some evidences of sophisticated designs we have now tell us that the successive ages passing do leave marks on our lives. The Romantic period then followed, then the Victorian, then our modern ages. People during these ages did not know that they were labeled as being from the Renaissance era, the Augustan, the Restoration, or the Victorian. The turn from one age to the other was not overnight. By the 1780s, the world was changing. Factories were turning cities into filthy slums. Across the English Channel, the French were about to murder a king and drastically change their society. The age of elegance seemed to be ending. Writers, too, were turning in new directions. Disgusted with the cities, they looked elsewhere for inspiration, to nature, to the imagination, to the lives of simple country people, and to the past.